Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dani Taylor, co-owner of Vegan Proteins Online Coaching. And tonight I'm gonna show you how to make this delicious, colorful winter dinner that is homemade seitan chicken cutlets, roasted butternut squash, and sweet and sour red cabbage, which is one of my favorite dishes from childhood. And I'm excited to show it to you, a healthier version than what I had growing up. This whole dinner comes in at over 30 grams of protein and under 400 calories. And of course, if you want the recipe for this, I'm gonna leave a link down below. Just enter your email. It should be in your inbox in a couple minutes. And if you don't see it in your inbox, check your spam folder. Anything else I wanna say about this one? Not much. It's several recipes, so I do want to make sure we jump right into it. But if you're a vegan who found this channel because they're looking for healthy, high-protein vegan recipes, you've come to the right place. Be sure to hit subscribe because we put out new videos every week with recipes, meal plans, tips, tricks, and educational videos about how to build muscle and burn fat as a vegan. All right, let's get into it. Let's get started. We're gonna get started by making some vegan chicken cutlets. Now, this is not originally my recipe. This is actually from a blog called 86 Eats, and I just tweaked it a little bit, but the original recipe is great also if you wanna check that out. We're gonna go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. We're gonna be using a food processor, and we're gonna add 1 full block of extra firm tofu to the food processor. Mine was already cubed from a different recipe. You don't have to do that, just break it up. And then in my measuring cup of water, I have 3/4 of a cup of water, but I'm just adding it as I need it. So I added about a half a cup here, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 3 teaspoons of better than bouillon vegetable stock. For my spices, I'm adding a teaspoon of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of poultry seasoning, and a half a teaspoon of pepper. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of my water and blend that up till it's smooth. Apparently not recorded, but I added a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch while it was blending up to make sure that it got fully incorporated. Now I'm gonna go ahead, open the food processor, and add 1 cup of Vital wheat gluten. Put the lid back on, and I'm gonna pulse it until it starts to come together like a dough, and then I'm just gonna run it for about 20 seconds or so. Once that's all together, I'm gonna turn it out onto a cutting board and try to form it into a circle. It's a little bit sticky, but it shouldn't be super sticky. And I'm just gonna pat that down until it's, I don't know, about a ½ an inch thick or so. And then I'm gonna get my knife and I'm gonna cut it into 8 equal pieces like a pie. Next step is to get a cooking sheet that I have my silicone mat on, and I am just gonna pat these down until they are about a 1/4 inch thick or so. And you can shape these however you want. You can make them more or less chicken breast shaped or whatever. Then you put them on the baking sheet, give them some space, and I like to just spritz the top of them with just a little bit of cooking spray before I put the foil on. In case they puff up, I don't want them to stick to the foil. And then we are gonna pop that in the oven at 350 degrees for 25 minutes with the foil on. And then after 25 minutes, we're going to remove the foil, pop it back in the oven for another 10 minutes. Now, I like to make this recipe of the dinner first because it actually tastes better the longer you let it rest. And each one of these little chicken breast things is 123 calories, 18 grams of protein, about 6 grams of carbs, and 3.5 grams of fat, the way that I make them with the tweaks to the recipe. Now we're gonna go ahead and bump the oven up from 350 degrees to 400 degrees. And we are gonna prepare our squash. I'm using butternut squash here. I like to usually peel it, but this one had a really thick peel on it, so I didn't bother. I just decided I would eat around the peel afterwards since it had some dented spots. So I'm just cutting it in half, scooping the seeds out, and slicing them into wedges, I guess. So there's nothing dangerous about eating butternut squash skin. It's just sometimes it's a little thicker and tougher and more bitter, and sometimes it's very thin and fine and it tastes great actually. But today I'm just gonna bake the whole thing and sort of eat around it like a watermelon rind. So once I have that sliced, I'm gonna lay it out on my baking sheets. I'm going to spritz it with a little bit of olive oil, sprinkle it with salt and rosemary, and rub it around. And you really only need the teeniest, tiniest bit of cooking spray or olive oil to get this to roast up really nicely. And we are gonna pop that in the oven for 40 minutes or until a fork goes in and it's nice and tender. Lastly, my favorite recipe of this dinner, we are gonna make this delicious German sweet and sour red cabbage. So I have a whole head of cabbage and I'm just doing that into a rough slice. So it's either like a really big dice or just a very rough slicing. So it doesn't have to be fine like a slaw would be, but you don't want huge hunks of it either because you want to be able to pick up a good amount of it on your fork. So about the size I'm cutting it here. And trying to get this into my largest pot, a whole head of red cabbage, was actually pretty challenging. Cabbage does cook down as you cook it, but not the same way that like spinach does. So yeah, you gotta make sure you have a big pot to start this one off. Now to this giant pot, I am adding a cup of water, a cup of white vinegar, and a 1/4 cup of sugar. Then I'm just gonna pop a lid on this and let it sit over medium heat for probably about 5 minutes or so before I go over and try to actually stir everything all in. It just is a lot easier once the cabbage starts to steam and soften to get everything all mixed together. Now I let mine go on the stove for about a half an hour or so, but I did keep going over and stirring it occasionally, testing it occasionally, because how could I help myself from doing that? And just testing it for doneness to see if it was as tender as I would like it to be. Now I made a lot of cabbage and it's gonna sit in my fridge for a few days and it does continue to soften up and absorb those flavors for several days. So this is another one that just gets better as it sits in your fridge. Plating up this whole dinner, I did 1.5 of the chicken breasts, about 2 cups of the butternut squash, and a 1/7 or so of the sweet and sour cabbage. And I actually had this leftover gravy powder from Thanksgiving, like a tofurkey gravy powder that was surprisingly good. I've never used it at Thanksgiving. You just whisked it with water and cooked it up. I might see how they make that. And I just put a couple tablespoons of it on my dinner and some chives, and we are good to go. Oh, we're still recording.
Oh.
Excellent.
Cool. Edit that in. Everything devolves after 7 p.m. I'm not responsible
Here.
for what I say.
This isn't a usual taste test, because usually we taste test it and then go about our day, but this is actually dinner tonight.
I'm down.
So,
That's a huge,
I haven't made a dinner like this in a while.
Loving it.
I don't know, you said
color.
you said you weren't super sure about the sweet and sour cabbage, but I think you're gonna love it.
I'm gonna try to keep it open mind. I'm how you love cabbage, which makes me like cabbage. You know how I work. Someone else likes something, I like it because they like it. But that, I mean, everything looks delicious, Dani.
So the gravy was a last minute addition, just a powdered gravy that we had left over from Thanksgiving, but I looked it up, it added about 30 calories tops.
Nothing.
So without the gravy, because I didn't show you guys how to do that, this whole dinner, this whole ass plate comes in at 322 calories, 44 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fat, and 32 grams of protein.
Unbelievable.
So,
nice. What do you want to dig into first?
how about the chicken?
Good deal.
The Seitan
Okay.
chicken. I tried to keep everything hot enough, but it's hard to keep everything like ready to serve at the same time when you are also filming it.
That has a spot. This tastes like winter.
Tastes like winter. This
It's got a good texture.
Good.
Yeah.
This butternut squash had some questionable skin, so you might not want to eat the skin.
Questionable how?
Like dented and bruised, and I cut out anything that looked particularly bad, but usually I just eat the skin without thinking about it. But
Yeah, I'll work around it just for now.
rosemary and butternut squash.
That's it?
That's the move. Well, it's got salt and pepper, but like season your butternut squash with rosemary and tell me what you think. I think you're gonna love it.
In all my years of making squash, I have not done that once. I usually do cinnamon or maple syrup or whatever. I go with the sweet. But the herby butternut squash is really nice.
And then my favorite recipe on this plate is the cabbage.
Kraut.
It's not kraut.
What is it?
It's sweet and sour cabbage. It's a German dish. Normally they use butter and they use a lot more sugar than this. I used as little sugar as possible.
It's German, I'm into it.
Right?
Yeah, it's got a lot of flavor.
Yeah, but it's not quite like pickled flavored, but oh my God.
But it's more than enough.
It's so good. I think you guys should try this. Usually I do like one big recipe as a meal, but this is this is how you bring a meal together. If you just want that hearty, filling, sort of meat and potatoes style dinner, even though there's neither meat nor potatoes here. This is a good, this is a good one for you. If we seem kind of loopy, it's because it's after 8. I just got home from like a CrossFit class that trashed me. He's usually asleep by now. So it may shock you, but we are not actually chefs. This is not what we do. What we do is we create meal plans and nutrition plans for vegans who are trying to get in better shape, who are trying to lose weight, lose body fat, build muscle, maybe compete, look their best, feel their best. If you want that to be you, fill out an assessment. The link is down below. You'll hear back from this guy within a business day, and we'll see if we can help you reach your goals. And if we can, we would love to be a part of your journey. If you liked the video, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, all the things I'm supposed to tell you to do at the end of a YouTube video. And we're gonna go eat dinner now.
Oh yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Later.
Bye.